Hi there. Well, welcome to one of the best courses here at APUS and AMU, the history of the graphic novel. Our heroes wear spandex. I am the designer of this course, and it was so much fun to do. As you can see, I'm one of the biggest nerds on the planet, and I'm good at that. And I have a full sleeve tattoo of Storm from the X-Men, and I have a Hulk-themed guest room. Yeah, I grew up reading Marvel, and many of us did, whether it was Marvel or DC. And now, as we've moved to the graphic novel dealing with things like The Walking Dead, The Last Man, Why the Last Man, I think so much has changed in the world. And we are now beginning to pivot away from the idea that visual arts are not literature, because it is. And part of the reason that I know this is so many of the lessons that I learned as a kid came from reading comic books, not from reading books, reading words on paper, learning about yourself, growing, changing. Does it matter that it's in a book form? And we're seeing this now with a huge cultural shift. Unfortunately, because of money, right? Because Hollywood was sinking like a stone. I lived 2 hours outside of Hollywood. It was sinking like a stone until, boom, here comes Spider-Man, and boom, here comes Hulk, and boom, here comes the Avengers. Billions of dollars. And I want you to just think about that for a second. Because it's not about the money. It's about the impact worldwide. That when you're standing in line, when I stood in line for that first Spider-Man, that line went for blocks because we finally got to see our heroes on the big screen. So why are there our heroes? And whether it's Naratu or Aurora Monroe or my all-time favorite, Deadpool, favorite in terms of he's so sassy. Heroes are important, and they're not just found in Lord of the Rings. They're found everywhere where there's a story and a character and change and growth. And so the graphic novel has finally kind of grown up to the point where it's serious literature. And we're going to look at it, and we're going to be talking about that a great deal in this course. Is it literature? What is literature? You know, if you have anybody in your world who can't read, doesn't like to read, doesn't want to read, hand them a graphic novel. And let's see how long they keep reading. I just want them to read. So we're going to be reading graphic novels. We're going to be reading some great articles about really, for me, compelling things like the change of women. We used to be like double G boobs and teeny tiny 10-inch waist. And I actually say something in the class about the fact that Angelina Jolie refused to have the big boobs that Lara Croft has. And she said, because a woman couldn't do the things that you want her to do carrying that around. It's things like LGBTQ. It's things like all the cultural issues. The 80s dealt with AIDS and drugs. And so if I'm reading something to learn about Elizabethan England and you're going to make me read Shakespeare in order to get a flavor of what was going on, why wouldn't we do the same with the graphic novel? Well, we're going to. Because you can see what was happening in the world based on what these artists, colorists, and writers were writing about. Some of the best comics came out of World War II. The first one being Mouse, which we will be reading and talking about. So it's a fun class. It will make you think. And some of you may have to rethink what you've always thought about illustrative art. There are some great pieces out there, and not just those that have made it into Hollywood, which a number of them have. There's great pieces in terms of showing us who we are. Does art reflect life, or does life reflect art? It comes back to that chicken and egg idea. But this is fun. And it's interesting because you can see the changes that have happened. You can see that back when I was a kid, I always thought there was something different about Iceman Bobby. I didn't know what it was. Turns out he's gay. That we are now at a point, a pivotal point, when characters like Daredevil, who was blind, he was like the first real alternatively abled superhero. It made me sit and go, wait a minute. There's a place for everyone in the comic world. And I want you to think about that for a second. There's a place for everyone. That's why this is an important literature. That's why this is not just a fun class, but it should really make you think. Because if I were teaching Shakespeare today, I would do it in a graphic novel. Because Shakespeare was meant to be performed, not read. It was meant to be seen as moving beings, not static words. Old Bill would roll over in his grave if he knew we were making people read it. For me, I'd give you a fellow in a graphic novel. Literature is supposed to touch us and inspire us, and probably most importantly, make us feel included. That's why he was all I read. I'm even wearing an Incredible Hulk ring. Because I understood what it felt like to be misunderstood, which Hulk was back in the 70s and 80s. He was big, he was green, he was different. And because he was different, they came after him. And only when they came after him did he become angry. I related to that on so many levels. That hidden part of me on so many levels. That if I just was this one way, people would accept me. But the moment I was my true self, my other half, because we all have that other half, then I became a villain. I used to read everything that the Hulk was in. I still do. It's changed a lot. So have I. And I hope that after this class, you do too. So, welcome. Have a great time.